we're going to start in Shavasana, so we're going to start in relaxation. So we're going to start, as we start most of our practice, in a really comfortable lying down position on your mat. So the important thing about Shavasana is that it's your comfortable lying down position. So traditionally, we're lying down with our legs extended along the mat, and our arms resting out by our sides, and our palms turned up, and our fingers gently curled, and our chin tucked in towards our chest. And your eyes here can either be closed completely or just your gaze softened gently. If you are having any sort of pain in your lower back where it feels a bit tight, then you have the option here to walk your feet towards your bottom and have your knees resting in against each other, forming kind of a little pyramid. And that's going to bring a bit of flexion into the spine, and that can take some of the tension away from the discs here in the spine. So just making whatever soft, gentle adjustments that you need to, just to make sure that you feel super cozy and super restful in whatever option of Shavasana you take. We're just going to take a little bit of time here at the start of our practice, just to let everything slow down and settle a little. So it can feel quite strange to start off with, just to find ourselves lying down and trying to slow down. It can feel quite unnatural and quite strange. So we can use something like a breath as an anchor to try and slow our body and our thoughts down. So resting one hand on your stomach or resting it on your chest, we're just going to take our attention to the physical effect that our breathing has on our body. So noticing how the hand and the stomach raises as we breathe in, and then how it sinks lower down towards the ground as we exhale. Just noticing these physical changes here and the speed at which you're breathing. We're not trying to change anything at all. We're simply using this as an anchor, something to take our focus and our attention to try and quiet that chatter from the outside world. In this practice today, we're going to focus on what it means to feel at home. So enjoying this extra cozy, extra comfy, extra slow practice in our own home, where we can have the comfort of blankets and cozy socks and cushions, and maybe it's a little bit warmer than it normally is in uniform. So just enjoying all these benefits of having our practice at home. And then just taking a moment to think about what being at home really means to you. Is it really the four walls and the space that surrounds you? Or is it a feeling of feeling safe and feeling secure and feeling at peace? And if those are the feelings that you feel when you're at home in this building that you live in, just think about how it would be to feel those feelings about your body that you live in as well. Because really our body is our home. Somewhere where we should feel safe in our body and secure in our body. And certainly at peace in our body. It's not something that we should be fighting against or thinking negatively of. But somewhere where we consider to be home. And releasing your hand back down to the side of the mat, your palms facing down. Just start to bring some movement into the neck, taking the ear towards the shoulder, and back to the center, and then dropping it to the other side, and then returning to center. And just slowly here, rocking your neck from side to side, just bringing slow, gentle movements. Ironing out any little kinks or any little knots that you might feel, any little cricks. more sides. And then drawing your forehead back to center. From here, we're going to push the heels as far away from our body as we can and try and tuck the toes up towards the kneecaps. So we're really stretching really strongly through the back of our legs and flexing our feet. And on an inhale, we're going to reach our hands all the way up above our head to come into a full body stretch here. So this full body stretch where we're stretching out as long as possible, and we may as well stretch out and invite a big smile across our face as well. So stretching from ear to ear in this full stretch. And then exhaling, releasing the hands back down by the side of the body. From here, we're going to walk the feet in towards the bottom. Just wriggling around to try and get them as close in with our knees bent towards the bottom as we can. And we're going to reach the hands down towards the back of the feet, towards the ankles. So we're going to come in some light, gentle hip bridges here. So on inhale, we're going to push our feet in towards the ground and push our hips just gently up towards the sky, squeezing our glutes to the top. As we exhale, we're just going to slowly roll our body back down towards the ground. Inhaling and winding through the spine, pushing the hips up towards the sky, pushing the shins forward. Exhaling, lowering down and winding through each wrist. Inhale, curling up to lift. Exhaling, rolling back down. Nice inhale, we lift up towards the sky and then reach the hands all the way past the ears, past behind your head. Then exhaling, floating the hands back down to the mat as we return our hips towards the ground. Rolling through 2 more, inhaling, lifting the hips and the hands at the same time. Fingers reach past our head. Exhaling, slowing back down. And 1 more here. Inhaling, pushing feet to the ground, hips rise, fingertips reach past our head. And exhaling, slowly rolling back down. And then from here, we're just going to hug our knees one at a time in towards our chest. And hug them nice and tight and take a little bit of a rock and a roll from side to side. If you want to deepen the stretch in Navasana, you can always bring your forehead to meet your knees as well. And then walk back and forward, side to side, round in circles. Whatever movements you find massaging the discs of your spine. Exhaling, lowering your feet back towards the ground. We're just going to shift our hips just gently to the right hand side a little, and then roll over onto our left in kind of a fetal position here. So from here on our left hand side, we're just going to make a little pillow with our elbow, with our arm, and we're going to use the right hand here to tuck our knees as tightly into our chest as we can. So it's a little bit like the asana we've just done, except we're just performing this on our side, and we're just trying to curl up into a nice tight little ball here. So really curling as tight as you can, bring your forehead down towards your knees. And just staying here for about 3 or 4 breaths. Just remembering to breathe in this position, just trying to create lots of flexion in the spine. Making sure your head is nice and cozy, rested down in your elbow. And just staying here for a few moments with your breath. Very slowly, we're going to release this hand from the top of our legs and use it to help push us up and bring our body around into an all-fours position. So in this position here, we're going to come into our cat-cow. So we're going to bring our body into a tabletop position, making sure that our wrists are stacked beneath our shoulders and that our knees are stacked underneath our hips. Fingertips should be spread super wide, so you've got a nice strong connection all the way down to the earth. So on an inhale, we'll take our gaze upwards, pull our shoulder blades back. And as you exhale, we're going to invert the body, bringing the belly button towards the spine. Crown of the head drops towards the ground, and we're pushing our shoulder blades up towards the sky. Inhale and reverse the movement, taking the buttocks out the back, taking the gaze upwards and pull the shoulder blades back. Exhale, reverse that movement slowly, curving the spine, tucking the tailbone under, dropping the chin towards the chest. Inhale to lift and extend. Exhale to reverse the movement. Push those shoulders nice and high. 2 more breaths. Inhale. And exhale, curling under. 1 more breath. Inhale. Lifting the chest, arching the back as much as we can. And then exhale, curling back under. Really pushing our shoulders nice and high, feeling that nice stretch across the shoulder blades. And then releasing back towards the mat. From here, we're going to take our right hand and just walk it in just a bit towards the more centre of the mat here. So you're just walking it in, maybe another hand's width. And with our left hand, as we inhale, we're going to take a twist and reach all the way up towards the sky. Our gaze is following our thumb. And then exhale, we just release that hand back towards the mat. And then inhale, we reach up on the opposite side, just feeling that nice twist of the thoracic spine. And then exhale to release. Inhale, lift to the left. Exhale to release to the ground. Inhale, sweep up, lift to the right. Exhale, release. Forming 1 more on each side. Just feeling that nice, juicy twist, really opening up. And last twist on the right. And returning back down towards the ground. So here we're going to come into our child's pose. So we're going to go into a wide-legged variation. So we're having our big toes touching, and we're going to take our knees super wide on the mat. Now this is where props and pillows and stuff can come in really handy, because we're looking to, as we exhale, push our bum back down towards our heels. But if our hips feel a bit tight, they might not quite reach, so you can always put a cushion or a rolled up blanket between your bum and your heels. We extend our arms along the mat and bring our forehead down towards the ground. But again, if you feel like your forehead isn't quite reaching, we always have the option here to come and rest our forehead on a cushion or a blanket or a rolled up pudding. What's important here is you just feel super relaxed in this posture. So every time we exhale, we're thinking about just opening up our hips a little more and allowing gravity to let our chest sink down towards the ground. We want our body to melt out along the mat and create space to sink down into. And this extended asana should feel really relaxing. It's a low level inversion where our head is ever so slightly below our heart. So this should be an option where if you ever feel stressed, you need a bit of time out, you can spend some time here. We're also stretching out along the back, so it gives us the option to breathe into our ribs at the back. A lot of the time, a lot of our breathing happens at the front of the body, so this is the option to really open up the rib cage from behind and breathe into that part of the body. On the next inhale, we're just going to walk our hands just slightly across the left-hand side and reach our right hand a little further than our left. And we should feel a really nice deep stretch all the way along the right-hand side of the body here. And just taking a few more breaths here. So again, still using the exhale to let gravity open up the hips and sink a little further. But as you inhale, just trying to creep those fingertips a little bit further forward. Next inhale, we're just going to walk gently across the opposite side. And here we're going to extend the left hand a little further than the right. So again, you can feel a nice long stretch all the way down the left-hand side of the body. And then next inhale, just walking back down to center again. And just resting for a few extra breaths here. inhale, we're just going to walk our hands up. And then our own time, we're just going to swing our legs around and come into a comfortable seated position here. So taking a little bit of a wriggle, make sure that your hip bands are seated on the ground. If you do feel like your knees are all the way up here, you can bring your legs a bit out further out in front of you, or again, using props. You can use a bit of a cushion to sit on. And what that does is it brings the hips up a little bit higher and lets your knees fold a little bit further forward. So again, just using whatever props you feel you need to. What's important in this yoga session is that you're feeling super comfy and that everything feels really nice and cozy. So from here, we're going to start with our hands in heart center. And we're going to link the fingers. And as we exhale, we're going to push our hands away from our body. So feeling a nice deep stretch across the back of our shoulder blades. As we inhale, we're going to take our hands up towards the sky. And as we exhale, we're going to loosen the fingers, let go and twist round to the left-hand side. So from here, as you inhale, open up your chest, pull your shoulders back. As you exhale, really slowly twist a little bit deeper round to the left. And I'm talking tiny, tiny bit at a time. Inhale, allow yourself to be drawn a little taller. Exhale, just move it a little bit further into that twist. Coming one more, inhaling, lifting the chest. Exhaling, twisting ever so slightly. Inhaling, just walking our hands back around the center. And bringing the hands back into prayer position. So again here, we're crossing the fingers over, and as we exhale, pushing those hands away, so stretching out through the shoulders again. As we inhale, we're going to bring the hands up overhead. And exhale, loosen and let the hands drift now over and twist to the right hand side. So inhale, lift your chest and pull your shoulders back. Exhale, take that slight twist round over to your right hand side. So drishti gaze is looking just past the nose. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, super gentle twist. One more, inhale to lift and face space. Exhale, gentle twist. Next, inhale, we're going to slowly come back to center. And bring our hands back into prayer position. So from here, we're going to unpack the feet a little bit. So we're going to have our left foot is going to be tucked a little bit tighter in towards our body, but our right foot is going to come a little bit further out here. So we're going to come into a bit of a forward fold, but our left foot is tucked nice and tightly in towards us. The same thing again here, bring the hands into prayer position, and we're just going to move through one breath at a time here. So as we exhale, we're going to push our hands away. Inhale to lift, and this time as we exhale, we're going to let our hands drift down and then glide over the mat and just start to walk our fingers away from our body here. So walking until we get a little bit of tension, and you'll feel that tiny little bit of a bite point, that little bit of resistance, and that's where we're going to stay. So as we inhale, we're going to try and lift and reach this chest a little bit further forwards, not downwards. And as we exhale, we're going to try and envision the hips softening a little bit. So you should feel a bit of tension in your right hip. It's when we exhale, that's where we're wanting to release that tension from. So inhaling to lift and try and reach the chest forward. And exhaling, just visualizing those muscles in the right hip, just softening gently. Just staying here with your own breath, just allowing gravity to soften into that hip. And here you can either just soften the gaze, or you can close your eyes completely if you wish to do so. Staying here for a few more breaths, trying to see if you can just gain a couple more millimeters in this stretch. And on the next inhale, we're going to walk our hands back up. So keeping our feet where we are, We're going to take the left hand round behind our back, just to support us a little bit, so making kind of spider fingers here. And the outer edge of this right foot, we're going to scoop the hand underneath, and we're going to pull this knee in towards our shoulder. Now, if that's a bit too tight for you, please feel free just to bring it a bit closer down towards the ground. However, if it's within your practice today, we're just going to try and pull the outer edge of this foot and pull the knee in towards our armpit. So this is kind of like a seated half happy baby pose, or working into the hip. And each time we inhale, we're going to again lift taller, but exhale, we're going to try and work on that hip mobility and pull that knee closer in towards our armpits. If you feel like you want a bit more movement in your practice, then feel free just to bring some movement into that hip and just release that leg out a bit further and then pull it in a little bit more. If you want a bit more flow and a bit more space, then play around with the movement here. And then exhaling, really slowly releasing it back down towards the ground. So we're going to swap our feet around this time. So this time it's our right foot that comes in a little bit closer towards our body, and that's our left foot that extends a little bit further out. So we're still in a bent leg position, but it's our right foot that's tucked in nice and tight towards our hip joints. So again, we're going to link the fingers and push away on an exhale. Inhale, bring our hands up towards the sky, and then exhale, let the fingers part and float down and start to crawl forward. So crawling these fingers forward, and then noticing where we get that little bit of a bite point, and that's where we're going to stay. So softening the gaze or closing the eyes completely, inhaling, allowing the chest to lift and reach forward. Just check in with your sit bones and make sure that you are still grounded into the mat and you're not lifting all the way over. And then exhale, just again, allow the hip joint just to melt a little bit. You can bring a gentle sway in again as well if you feel like it softens as that movement. Inhale, reaching forward, just trying to gain millimeters at a time, tiny movement. And exhaling, just releasing and softening. Next inhale, slowly walking the hands back towards the body. And this time, taking your right hand behind, support you up on the fingertips, just helping keep your chest nice and lifted. And then we're going to take the left hand around the outer edge of the left foot and lift the foot off the ground. And again, we want a nice kind of straight line so that our forearm is almost sitting on top of our shin. And we're going to work to pull that knee in towards that armpit here. So again, lifting your chest as you inhale, as you exhale, trying to maybe wiggle that hip joint around, create a bit of space if that's what you feel you need to work into. And again, if that's a bit too tight for you, then you always have the option just to bring that knee and that foot a bit closer towards the ground as well. So whatever feels right in your practice for you today. Whatever feels like your body wants. And on your next exhale, just slowly release that foot down towards the ground. We're going to bring both hands behind us, extend the legs out along the mat, and just take a little bit of a wiggle from side to side here. So just loosening the hips out a little bit, just to counterbalance that stretch that we've done. So from here, we're going to go into some hip work on both sides at the same time. So we're going to come into our Baddha. So walking the feet in towards each other. This time we're going to have the soles of the feet pressed in against each other. So your hands here can come to the inside of the feet. You can use your thumbs if you want to, just to open up the feet like a book, pushing the outer edges in towards each other. Or you can actually use the thumbs to give yourself a little bit of foot massage here again as well. So maybe start by squishing the toes and just working down, just slowly massaging through the feet. If feet aren't your thing, and you don't even like your own feet, then please feel free just to take hold of the ankles instead. But otherwise, just pretend maybe you're on Koh San Road in Thailand, you're having a nice little foot massage. Maybe a coconut water, Chang beer. And then we're going to come to wrap our hands around our feet or around our ankles and use our forearms just to press down softly on our shins, just to help open up a little bit more. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can always tuck the feet a bit closer in towards your hips. And as we inhale, we're going to lift our chest, and as we exhale, we're just going to round through the body and just allow our head just to loosen and dangle down. So allow our neck to soften here, and just shake it off a little bit, and just relax softly. So there's no strain in the neck at all. The neck becomes soft, and your jaw is softened. And just when you exhale, just allow the hips to warm a little more and soften a little deeper. Then give back 2 more full rounds of breath. And then your next inhale, very slowly just rolling the body up. And using the hands to guide the knees back in towards each other. And again, extending out along the mat. And just allowing your hips to rock from side to side. Here we're going to bend those knees into like a 90-90 position here. So we've got one shin that's kind of in front of our chest and the other leg is bent towards the side. And we're just going to windscreen wipe the legs a little bit. So we're just going to swap sides. So bringing the knees down towards the mat on each side. And if you want to deepen the stretch for a little bit, you have the option to just rest one foot on the thigh here. And spend a few breaths here, stretching out through this glute. And then you can release and then just on the other side again, just resting that foot on the thigh, just adding a little bit more pressure here. And then releasing back through. So we're going to come into a one-legged pigeon pose. This pose can feel quite tight on people's knees or on people's hips. I'm going to give you the different options because I want, again, everything in this practice to feel really soft and really kind of cozy. However, if you know that this is something where you're lying on that bent knee and it's going to cause aggravation, we do have a supine version of pigeon pose instead. So I'm going to show you that first, just so you know that if you try pigeon pose and it's not feeling right for you, you know what your other option is. So the supine variation is that we're going to have one knee bent and cross one ankle across. Lean through, grab hold of the back of the thigh and extend the leg. Now this is our supine pigeon pose. So if you'll notice, if I stayed here, if I then rolled all the way over without changing very much, that's actually our full variation of pigeon. So in a lot of yoga practices and a lot of yoga asanas, actually, you're just flipping the pose. It's the same pose, but it's either on the side or coming into a prone or a supine version, which makes it an adjustment. So you can do that with lots of yoga poses. So just because something doesn't quite work for you, it doesn't mean there can't be an adaptation. So we're going to be using our blankets here. We have blankets just to make it extra cozy. So you can either have your blanket down on the mat, which is going to provide an extra layer for you, or if you want to, so you're going to be lying in pigeon for quite a while, you can always just have it wrapped over your shoulder as well, just so it feels really nice. Your cushion we can use to rest your head on, or we can also use to prop the hip. So just make sure also if you have a rather nice Unit 4 hoodie to hand, you can also use that as a little cushion instead as well. So in our pigeon today, I want us to have quite a nice soft pigeon. So normally we can have the shin in line with the front edge of the mat, and that's quite intense. So to make it a bit softer, we would bring the foot a bit closer in towards the hip. So on like an intensity scale out of 10, I want this pigeon to be like maybe like a 3 or a 4, really quite soft here. I don't want much tension at all. So we're going to be standing a bit longer in this. So we can also use the cushion if you wanted to prop up the hip here, and that might feel quite nice. Or we can use a cushion here as a little bit of a rest. So taking whatever option you feel like you would like to. So having one leg bent underneath and one leg extended out along the mat. We're going to start in kind of an upwards position, so using our fingertips to prop ourselves up. And then just taking that bit of a wriggle from side to side, just making little adjustments here, just making sure that both hips are relatively aligned and that it doesn't feel like it's too much on our knees or our hips. And then from here as we exhale, we're going to slowly start to walk the hands forward and come to a place where we feel comfortable to rest. So this might be on our forearms, or it might be that we're fully extending our arms along the mat, or it could be that we are using a little bit of a prop and a pillow and resting our hands on top and just resting our forehead down here. But we're going to be spending about 8 full breaths here. So wherever you are, I want it to be again somewhere where you find that little slight biting point, but it's somewhere where you'd be happy to spend a little bit of time here. So wherever you've settled into, just start again noticing the breath here. Noticing which parts of the body you're feeling a little bit tight and a little bit tense in this posture. And actively sending the breath to those areas of the body. Sending more oxygen to help in that stretch. And if it feels a little bit uncomfortable, just a little bit tight, it should certainly never feel painful, but we should feel like there is a slight element of work in this. Again, notice what it's like just to sit with that slight edge of discomfort, not being able to go anywhere or do anything about it, but just noticing it and making peace with it. Not trying to fight it, because the more we fight in the stretch, the more resistance we can put up, the more tight our muscles will get, so we just have to sink into the acceptance. And notice how when we do, everything just becomes a little bit easier. And then your next inhale, just peeling yourself up nice and slowly. And then if you've got your cushion here, pulling that out of the way, just rolling over onto one side. Sweep the leg around. And we're just going to switch straight over onto the opposite side. So again, taking whatever option you want to, you're either lying on your blanket or you can have it over your shoulders nice and cozy. Making that adjustment with your leg here, making sure that it's in a really comfortable position. And there's not too much tension on the knee. We're going to start off nice and tall, so there's almost a slight back bend in here. And then as we exhale, we're going to start walking the hands forwards to somewhere that's restful. So it could be a cushion on top of your body. It could be that extending your arms along the mat actually feels really restful. But coming into a place where we can feel that slight bite and that slight tension in the hip, but somewhere where you can spend a little bit of time. On the next inhale, slowly walking yourself back up again. Taking your time as if you're kind of moving through treacle. And then rolling back onto one hip. So scooting your legs around here. If you have a cushion, you can hold this in towards your body. We're going to roll our body back, keeping our chest lifted. And we're going to lift our feet off the ground. And we're going to take a twist over to the left-hand side, dropping the cushion down. And over to the right-hand side. And then hold the cushion out in the middle. So from here, we can extend our legs, or we can get rid of the cushion completely and bring our hands behind our thighs, or rest our hands out towards the sides. So we're taking a Navasana here, so a boat pose, in whichever option feels right to you. Just make sure that your chest is lifted, your shoulders are drawn back, and if you're feeling any tension in your lower back, then you can always take the option to bring the feet to the ground and just bring your chest a little bit closer towards your shins. So holding here for a few more breaths, remembering to breathe in this position in core work, but after you're ready to breathe. And then releasing your feet down to the ground, hugging your knees in towards your chest and just rocking your bum up towards your knees and hugging in nice and tight and then dropping the forehead down towards your knees. And just cuddling in as tight as you possibly can. From here, we're going to very slowly make our way down to a lying down position. We're going to start by hugging both knees in towards the chest. And then from here, we're going to release the left leg along the ground. So pointing the toes up in the left leg, staying nice and strong and active with this leg here. And then from here, we're just going to take the interlaced fingers around the back of the right thigh. And then we're going to slowly start to extend the leg up towards the sky. So from here, we're making sure that we're pushing our heel away and we're drawing our toes towards our kneecap here. So we've got a nice stretch on the back of the leg. So as we inhale, we're going to try and stretch out and imagine the hamstrings and the calves lengthening a little more. As we exhale, just see if we can nudge this toe ever so slightly closer towards our nose. So what we should be doing is pulling this leg in towards us. It's just a gentle bit of assistance that we're giving this leg here. So inhaling and just pushing what's it called? It's a heel. Pushing that heel a little bit further away. And exhaling, just allowing these muscles around the hips just to soften, allowing the hamstrings to soften a little bit more, and just pulling that toe a little bit closer. Letting the breath do the work for you here, inhaling, reaching away, exhaling, just gently softening that. Just check in with this extended left leg and make sure you can still nice and strong and active with this leg too. On your next exhale, we're going to bend this knee back in towards the chest. Taking hold of the knee with the left hand, we're going to pull it across the body into a bit of a spine twist. And we can either take our gaze here or extend this arm and just look back towards these fingers here. Just resting here in this spine twist. If this is too much in your neck, then take the gaze back round to the left-hand side. Otherwise, taking your gaze towards your fingertips. And either your eyes completely closed, or your gaze softly looking at how nice your nails look. Yeah, just letting the breath open up, relaxing into this twist, letting everything come out. Bringing your right arm and your hand to rest on your hip and turning your head back round to the left. We're going to just draw ourselves back through to centre. Pull both knees back in towards the chest again, just take a bit of a rock and roll from side to side. Let's now release our right leg along the mat. Activate the quads here, flex the foot, draw the toes towards the kneecap. Take our interlaced fingers now behind our left thigh. And extend that leg up towards the side. So again here, nice and active through both legs. So this left foot here, each time we inhale, we're just going to push that heel way up towards the sky, make sure the toes are drawn towards the kneecaps. Right, exhale, just see if we can just manipulate and wriggle and convince the toe to be drawn a little bit closer towards our nose. But without pulling, and without shaking, without tension through that way. Just a little bit of gentle manipulation. Then putting your knee towards your chest. And this time using the right arm to pull the knee across the body. Extending your left arm behind your back. Either taking your gaze through to that left hand and towards the left fingertips. Or again, if it feels a little bit too much for your practice today, you can always release the gaze back down towards that leg. And again, use the breath just to relax. Notice where you feel tense or tension and breathe directly into that part of the body. Bring this left hand back towards the left hip and then releasing your head back towards the knees. We're going to bring both knees back into center again. And hold the knees in towards the chest. And again, maybe bring the forehead in towards the knees and just take whatever rock from side to side you feel you need to. So releasing the feet back down towards the ground. We're just going to extend the legs out along the mat. And before we come into our relaxation, I just want you to take whatever last adjustments you feel your body needs to before we bring some stillness back into our practice. So just maybe rocking the hips from side to side, or just stretching over to the left or over to the right, just doing whatever movements you feel you need to right now. Whatever you think you need to stretch out or adjust before we come back down to spend a little bit more time just lying down. So from here, just taking whatever blankets or whatever cushions you need to, just to make sure you're feeling super cozy and super comfortable in your Shavasana. So again, our traditional Shavasana is fully extended along the ground. But if you want to have your knees bent and resting against each other, then feel free to do so. We usually tuck our chin slightly towards our chest to help elongate the spine. However, if you want to rest your head on a little bit of a pillow, because that helps tuck underneath, then again, take that option too as well. The most important thing right now is that you're going to come down into a comfortable laying down position. Or you can get super cozy and just let all the hard work sink in. So closing your eyes completely or just softening your gaze. And just noticing how it feels to feel still again. Maybe it feels a little bit easier just to lie here in the stillness than it did when we first started our practice this evening. Maybe it feels a little bit easier to come home. Drawing your attention to the soles of your feet. Notice them and let them relax and soften. Notice your ankles, your calves, your knees. exhale, let your knees and your calves and your ankles relax. Focus on your thighs, back of your legs, your hips. As you exhale, allow your hips, back of your legs and your thighs to soften and feel heavy and sink towards the mat. Notice the palms of your hands. Notice your forearms, and your shoulders. Exhale your shoulders, your upper arms, your forearms, palms of your hands. Take the attention to your upper shoulders, your neck, the back of your head, and your forehead. The forehead, the back of your head, the neck, and the upper shoulders. Notice your eyebrows, and nose, your cheeks, and your jaw. Your jaw, your cheekbones, your eyes, and your forehead. Your entire body now feel relaxed and heavy and supported by the ground. And just see if you can notice where the outer edge of your body ends, or where the air that's surrounding it begins. Or is there no line? Is it one and the same? See if you can notice where the outer edge of your body and the ground that it rests on meets. Is there no line? Is it one and the same? We spend so much time focusing on our body as if it's this thing. Maybe it isn't that tangible. Maybe it's simply home. Our body is home. To bring a little bit of movement into your body. Then just slowly starting to move your feet. Now remember, if you want a longer Shavasana, And feel free just to drift your attention away from whatever I'm saying right now. And stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. However, if you are ready just to draw yourself back to the outside world, and then you start to move the fingers and just rub the fingers against each other just to bring your connection back to your own body. Maybe starting to rock the head from side to side, just bringing ear to shoulder. Just again slowly moving through as if the air was super thick. And if it feels good, you might want to flex the feet, push the heels away, and reach the fingertips all the way above your head. And come into a big stretch, inviting a big smile across your face. And then hugging your knees in towards your chest. Again, super slowly moving through tree. Wrapping the hands around the shins or on the back of the legs and just putting those knees nice and tight towards your chest. Cozy, gentle movements. Comforting and soft. And whichever side of the practice you started, or when you were curled up into that fetal position, just taking a curl over to the opposite side. So coming to a fetal position, but this time if you started on your left, then we're going to move over to our right instead. And we're going to hug those knees in nice and tight towards the chest that we did to start with, just flexing the spine, curling into this super tight ball. Feeling really safe and really protected and really cozy. Just happy enough. And then gently using the hand to draw you up nice and slowly to a comfortable seated position. You can adjust your blanket, you can keep it maybe around your shoulders, all curled up still nice and warm, or just have it across your knees. And we're just going to bring our hands into heart center here and just take a gaze down towards our thumbs, just bowing our head. As a sign of gratitude to everything that makes us feel safe and secure and at home in this world. Whether that's a place, or a person, or a practice. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Namaste.